Hey folks, so this might necessarily not be a religious statement, more so than it is maybe a Second Amendment statement. Um, I will very rarely do videos like this that will also throw on my YouTube Christian page and channel. But however, I want to just talk to you a little bit about this because I just saw a report about how Australia turned in their guns and how much it cost taxpayers like $500 million, and how their homicide rate is up, their assault rate is up. We can go on and on and on. And we know normally in high crime rates, there's a lot of strenuous laws that are on people to conceal and carry, etc., etc. And these are people that go after the Second Amendment, your right to defend yourself, your right to carry arms, etc. But I want to talk a little bit about how does the martial arts people play into this. And it's kind of like the same mentality. And I thought about this. You know, years ago, being young, silly, wild, um, you know, some may know that I was incarcerated. I had a lot of street in me. I was very aggressive. I was very angry at the world. I felt like, a victim. I took that out on a lot of people. Not that I was a bully, but if you did something to me, especially in a club or bar, I would more than likely try to finish it. Not good. But anyways, about 7 years ago, um, I wanted to go back what I did when I was younger. Whenever I was in a really good place in my life. And one of those things was going to church, commit my life to the Lord. And number two was martial arts. Now, martial arts for me did a lot of different things. It's not about learning technique. It curved my anger, believe it or not. There are principles in martial arts, such as self-discipline, self-control. I'm a very undisciplined person. I've I've dealt with anger issues most of my life. So here's what is bothering me. Of course, I have a black belt in Taekwondo. I trained in that. That was pretty much my foundation. Then I met a man that trains directly under Horace Gracie, Mr. Hanchi Gason out of Springfield, Illinois. He taught me about things being practical. Then I went over him and I started learning some Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. And I have trained a little bit in that. I'm not any expert. I'm not even a blue belt. I know the basics of it. But it's more than just knowing the technique. It's the mentality. It's how we were taught. It's called the gentle art or the soft art. Now, let me share something with you. If I was wanting to bake a cake, or if I was wanting, let me put it this way. Say there's a master chef, okay, in my kitchen. What would I look like going in and telling the master chef what to cook and how to cook it and what to do? And I'm a novice. I know nothing about cooking. And here's what's bothering me all across the country, and this is what I'm starting to learn. People gave less crap about me when I was really good size and an ex-felon and drinking in the bars. Then the moment that they learned that I was an experienced martial artist, then they had an issue. And here's where I'm at in it. Over the course of the last 7 years, there has been quite a bit of situations that I've been in. Nearly all of them have been, but maybe a few, have been where the individuals were the aggressors. Okay? They were the aggressors. And people don't understand and realize one thing, is that especially I know in Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, that there's a mindset that we're taught and we're learned not to be aggressive, not so much to go at the person. It's called, whoever controls the distance controls the damage. So we are psychologically, most martial artists are psychologically trained and taught not just about technique, how to do a proper technique, but we are trained psychologically how to avoid a confrontation. That means body language, that means the amount of steps that are taken, all of that combined. And I want to tell you that people have used that against me. They have lied, They have said situations happened that the way that they didn't happen. And then those same people that are inexperienced, that have no knowledge of the martial arts, have tried to dictate to me what I should have done or should have done differently, or they just say it's a bad thing altogether. You can't explain yourself and you can't win with them. And I'm just wondering if anybody out there has experienced this in the martial arts community. It seems to me like we are turned out to be the villains. And I take it like this. I look at it like this. Am I better off being trained, expertly trained, okay, for a situation? It's kind of like having a gun. Am I better off having an arm, okay, that I'm armed, with another individual that's armed? You go figure. Don't do the math. So, I'll give you an example. There's been people that wouldn't hire me for security work because they say I'm overtrained. I'm overqualified. Are you kidding me? That does not even have any wisdom to it. I much would rather have somebody that is trained how to handle a situation, than somebody that's not. It just, so I'm wondering if anybody out there has went through this before themselves, because there's been instances where I've tried to walk away, and the people continue to come towards you or behind you, and then when it's all said and done, you're out to be the villain. So I have to believe that it's much more than that. It's deeper than that. It just can't be that. It has to be something more than that. And I guarantee you, in a court of law, if a jury heard it, or a judge, if you actually tried to walk away from a situation, and a person is taking steps towards you still, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out who is the aggressor out of the situation. But I have noticed that, and I almost feel guilty now for knowing martial arts. It's terrible. It's almost like I have to feel guilty because I took it upon myself. And plus, let's also say something else. It's an investment. Many of us, if you go back to the years that we took it, that's a lot of money. Not only is it an investment financially, okay, it's an investment that we did. It was hard work, okay. Another thing, our time, our effort, the discipline it took, the honor that, we were honored. There's also a certain amount of honor in the world of martial arts that you get out of that, okay, being disciplined and putting in the hard work and the time and the effort. And it's kind of like saying lifting weights and bodybuilding. You get results. Sometimes you're awarded awards. People bodybuild. They go and they do meets, and they get a trophy. They get awards. They win money. It's no different. A lot of us sacrificed. We put a lot of effort in it, and a lot of days, a lot of weeks, a lot of months. And then when we get in situations where we defend ourselves, okay, then we're scolded for it. We're persecuted for it. And I'm just wondering if anybody out there in the martial arts world has went through this themselves. It's almost like I'm supposed to feel guilty because I know the arts, and it's almost like it threatens people. And then, but what bothers me the most out of all is you have untrained people that's never trained in the martial arts that point fingers at you and tell you that you should have did things a different way. And I'm going, wait a minute. But I have really great people that trained me, masters, that trained me in how to handle situations as well. It's not just technique. It's not just fancy techniques. It's also about the psychological aspect of how to walk away from a fight, how to try to prevent a fight. If you've done all that you can do, you've done all that you can do. And there comes a time when you've resorted to every single thing that you could possibly do. And listen, here's another thing. It's easy for them to talk about it. Most of those people have never been in a fight before in their lives. Amen? And things happen very quickly, especially in the heat of a moment. You all know what I'm talking about. Anybody that's actually been in a real physical fight, and I've been in many, all the way from a little boy all the way throughout life. I have been in many. And I want to tell you something else about a martial arts, a real true martial arts that respects life. They respect themselves. They respect human beings. They understand and know the power, what they're capable of doing. And if they have any kind of humanity in them, if they've truly been trained in humility and reverence and respect for another human being, you know what you're capable of doing. You don't want to hurt someone else, okay? Most of us do not want to engage. Most people that have a weapon, a gun, they do not want to engage it, okay? And have to take another life. It's no different than a martial artist. A true, real martial artist that respects all those principles. The principles of the martial arts and of the world, okay? And humanity, okay? Most of us, believe it or not, a majority of us were bullied, okay? We were victimized and victims at one point in our life. So add that to your, to your judgments, okay? Most of us, like myself, were picked on, okay? I don't want to bully anybody. I don't want to pick on anyone, amen? I don't want to have to engage anyone. But like one of my martial artists posted the other day, we don't have to be picked on and bullied. We don't have to be a doormat for anybody. Amen? And if you're going to hold that against me because I'm a martial artist and you know I'm trained, then I guess we'll have to settle in court of law. And that's what I've told him a few times. If that being said, then I'll roll the dice and we'll go ahead and take it before the court of law and let a jury and a judge hear it. Okay? The fact that the person was verbally assaulting me, making threats already, and I asked them politely, do not step further towards me, do not come in my space, I'm trained. And they continue to do it. Well, I would like to see what a jury and a judge says about that, okay? You have the right to defend yourself. Now, first, another addition to that, I am a Christian. I'm getting into a realm where I believe we don't fight against flesh and blood, but and that's a whole nother topic. So I more and more am getting into this realm of the spirituality aspects of living in the spiritual realm instead of the physical and trusting God. Okay, but also the Lord tells us to use wisdom. Okay. To use wisdom. And also, let me also say this. We can give accounts. There's many accounts where a trained mixed martial artist has went in and helped save the lives of other people. I also want to give you another aspect of it. Police all over the world, or excuse me, the country anyways, are starting to bring the Gracies in, jiu-jitsu, because they're understanding that they're poorly trained. See, they get it. With all these deaths and killings that's happened all around America, they figured out that, hey, maybe we're not as trained as we think we are, or we thought we were. So now they've turned to the Gracies, what I've heard, and they're bringing in Gracie Jiu-Jitsu into the curriculum. Thank God. Because, listen, it goes back to this. If you don't know what you're talking about, if I don't know how to cook, how am I going to go in and preach to a master cook? That does not even, there is no wisdom in that at all. People perish from lack of knowledge, okay? If I don't have the knowledge of something, and I really believe that people don't have the knowledge, or they've had a bad experience. Are there bad martial artists out there? Absolutely. I've met a few. I've said it before. A master martial artist or somebody that's very skilled martial arts that is a bad seed, okay, if they don't live out the principles of the martial arts, is like a mentally ill person with a pistol, okay, point blank. Not everybody should be equipped with martial arts, probably at times, okay. Because and listen, that doesn't mean they have a felony background. They didn't mean that they were mentally ill, okay. These are people that I know that didn't have any of that, and they took that what they knew and they abused it. Anybody can abuse anything if they know it. So don't go there just saying that, all felons are bad people and they shouldn't learn martial arts. In fact, I know some martial artists that believe that in training it can help curve a lot of their broken patterns and habits or ideas that they learned as a child. You know, I'm one of them. I believe it. But if you do have anger issues and stuff at the same time, you got to be very careful. You know, that you learn the principles and aspects of martial arts, that you learn the humility and the self-control aspect, and you abide in that. But once again, I'm just throwing this out there because I'm really annoyed because since it seems like I have been in more altercations, this is the truth, since I began to train in martial arts, okay, than I ever had before that, okay? And I know it's not all me, okay? I live in worse neighborhoods. I live in environments where there's a lot of aggression. There's a lot of anger. But I notice also there's a lot of biasness towards a martial artist. Once people know that you're a martial artist, and plus you have good size, which size doesn't matter anything in the martial arts world and in the world. Actually, it doesn't. You take a very trained and skilled individual, and that's another thing that's happened in our culture. We believe that because a person's big and strong, that you know, they're going to win. You know, in a fight, a street fight or whatever, and that's not necessarily true. Okay, at all. Those are fibs. Those are lies. And I have a lot more respect for humanity than I ever did before. I'm very cautious. There is not a fear, but it's a respect. You don't know who out there knows what anymore, okay? No matter what their size, ethnicity, their social status, you don't know who knows what anymore, okay? And that's the world that we live in today. But for those of us that care about our humanity, that are not bullies, okay, that we haven't taken our skills and used it in an abusive way, I'm talking to you people. Do you go through this yourself? Have you defended yourself in public and somehow you've done all that you could do and then somehow it's twisted around? I'm just kind of wondering because when I got serious back in the martial arts again and I started training, it seems like I started going through a lot more of these experiences over and over and over again. And I finally come to the conclusion that there's almost a hatred for us. There's almost a biasness towards us. That it's almost like I said, we're supposed to feel guilty because we're trained. I'm trying to understand it and make some sense out of it. So anyways, just want to throw this out there. Most of you got people that didn't know that I'm just not a Christian, a brother in the Lord, a minister of the Lord. But yes, I also have a martial arts background. And like I said, I normally would not and will not throw things like this on my YouTube page or channel. But this is something that I felt the need to finally come out and openly talk about because it's really been bothering me for a while. So thanks for tuning in. I would really love to hear your feedback. Peace out.